Now we know how to create a simple macro, and we know that it stores that macro in the Visual Basic code that is contained within our particular sheet, because we told it to store that macro with this file. When it comes to saving Excel workbooks that contain macros, we have to treat them slightly differently, and they actually have to be told to be saved as macro-enabled workbooks. If they're not saved as a macro-enabled workbook, then your macro will actually be removed. So if I just attempted to go to File and Save, so I wanted to save this file as type my name, for example. Now it's defaulted to Excel workbook, but if I try now to save that as an Excel workbook, it says this feature cannot be saved in a macro-free workbook, which is the VB project, the Visual Basic project, which is the part of the file that contains our macro. If we save the file with these features, click No, and we have to choose a macro-enabled file. Continue saving without the macro, click Yes. Well, I don't want to save it without the macro, and I need to go to the Save As type and change it to an Excel macro-enabled workbook. And you'll see the file extension is slightly different. It's .xlsm as opposed to .xlsx. So I need to save it as an Excel macro-enabled workbook. It can still be called Type My Name, but it now has a slightly different extension. Save, and I'm not given any of the problems. So I know that it exists because I can go to Macros, choose the macro and run, and it still works, even though I've now saved the file, but it had to be saved in a macro-enabled workbook format, which is a different extension, .xlsm. There is a way round saving it as a macro-enabled workbook, and that is to store all of your macros in the personal workbook, which we're going to look at shortly, in which case your normal workbooks don't actually contain any macros, so they don't need saving as a different format, but they can still run the macros that are contained in your personal macro workbook.